Hey folks, it was July of the 18th of 2021 when I did a review. Now, it wasn't really, it was kind of like a bit of a run through of the album. And it was this album here, The Rolling Stones Now. And I did it, and I just wasn't satisfied. Now looking back to it now, I'm kind of like thinking maybe I should do somewhat of a proper, maybe not a full-on fledged review, of course, like I did with my past Stones album. Of course, it's not gonna be like that. But I figured I'm gonna go ahead and kind of talk about each of the songs and not really, you know what I mean, not really do so much of a long fledged out review from the past, reviews I've done with the Stones or whatever. But yeah, a couple weeks ago I was re-listening to the Rolling Stones Now, and I absolutely enjoy just that early period of the Stones. You know what I mean? They sounded great. They weren't, obviously they weren't sounding like the Aftermath stuff and the, whatever, the Beggars. Of course it's not that Stones stuff. But this is a perfect. This album is such an example as to why they were so much ahead of the curve a little bit, you know what I mean? Because with the songs that they cover here, especially on their earlier albums, they absolutely sound even double the times better, triple times better than the actual original recorded version, like Chuck Berry's Around and Around, you know what I mean? Or Don Covey, or You Better Move On by, Arthur Alexander, They cover those songs so, I feel like they just have that sound that sounded so really, like no other of the British Invasion bands really had. I mean, don't get me wrong, I absolutely love Eric Burdon, and I love, the Yardbirds and all that, but the Stones always had a unique flair into their sound, you know what I mean? Now, some of you may think, well, it sounded sloppy, and, they weren't really, some of their material they were writing, they were kind of so-so, and even some of those covers they did, they weren't really that, it wasn't too, whatever, they weren't like, oh, they weren't being like, they weren't trying to be quality here, they weren't trying to be top, they weren't having that top quality. Well, what do early Stones was absolutely the greatest period that I think it always gets overshadowed a lot, you know what I mean? So I kind of want to go do a rundown here of the Rolling Stones Now. It's an absolutely enjoyable album. I think most of these songs are very, very well constructed, and I absolutely love the guitars. Absolutely fantastic. Those guitars with Keith and Brian. And Brian Jones, he was sort of the guy, that main, without him, there wouldn't really be, the sound wouldn't be the same, if they had some other schmuck, get on there, but, whatever. So like I said, this was still part of the earlier, time of the Stones. This was their third album here in the United States, if you can recall here. It was released very early, 65, so it was before Out of Our Heads had came out or whatever. It was before that. And, they would do these songs a lot, on they would be they'd show up and they would, televise the Rolling Stones on whatever, Mike Douglas show or, Shindig, like those kind of shows. And either play them live or lip sync or whatever. But yeah, a lot of these songs, they played back in the day either live or on a lot of those variety television shows at the time, But just excellent. I really love the production here. We got, people like Jack Nitzsche, of course, and old Stu, good old Ian Stu here. And just absolutely fantastic. Trying to see who else was on here. Yeah, and of course, the photography was done by the legendary David Bailey, that did most of the photography for their front covers, for their album covers. So yeah, enjoyable album. Let's get to it here. Everybody Needs Somebody to Love. Now, there are two versions, if anybody recalls. And oh yeah, and by the way, this album was recorded in Chess in Chicago, LA, RCA, and also in London as well. So they recorded this album sporadically through these Regent, right? Yeah, Regent Studios. So about 3 studios that they kind of went back and forth with. I think starting in the summer of '64, I believe. Right around the time that they were releasing their first album, you know, their debut or whatever, England's Hit Makers. But yeah, back to Everybody Needs Somebody to Love. We all know this is a Solomon Burke song. I was recently watching them back in 2004, the Rolling Stones, actually doing this song live, and this was also back when Solomon Burke was alive too. And that was fun, you know, they brought him out, and that was kind of a cool little thing with Mick and Solomon. Unfortunately, he passed away, what was it, like 12, 13 years ago or something like that, but I do gotta say, I kind of like the longer version, but I feel like the longer version isn't really as good as the short version, but though the short version isn't as good as, I guess it's, you know, I can toggle either way with the versions or whatever. This one has a bit of a different sound, or a different guitar. It's not so much the bass prominently than how it was when they recorded it. I think they recorded in North America, I believe, the first version. Or I could be wrong. I think the longer version was recorded in London, I think in Regent. And then they recorded this version, I think, in RCA. But yeah, perfect example of why the Stones always seem to cover a song a little bit more than perhaps... And nothing against Solomon Burke. I mean, Solomon Burke's version is pretty good too. I mean, he is that kind of real soul guy, you know. He was a classy soul guy, you know. And then the second track is, ooh, I love this song right here. Down Home Girl, with that groove. Oh man, it's such a good freaking song. You're down home girl. I love it. This is Jerry Lieber and Artie Butler. We all know Jerry Lieber was a songwriter, virtuoso. You know what I mean? He did all those Elvis Presley songs and many of bigger hits, you know, hits for the Coasters and all that. For those people, you know, definitely for sure. It's one of my favorites, definitely for sure. You know, your lips taste like, what's that? How does it go now? The perfume that you wear smells like turnip greens. Every time I kiss your lips, it smells like pork and beans. It's absolutely hilariously funny, man. That groove with that guitar, I love it. Brian Jones, he's excellent, man, on this song. Are you kidding me? I think Keith too, I believe. Yeah. The third track is You Can't Catch Me. Always, this one's always another favorite early Stones track. You know, you can't catch me. Then, you know, whatever. You know them doing the Chuck Berry. You know, they were always very well, even well further into their latter period there, especially in the '70s and the '80s. You know, they were still doing that whole Chuck Berry, you know, the chord thing or whatever. You know what I mean? Heart of Stone. You'll never break, never break, never break this heart of stone. Boom, 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 boom. I love that tambourine too. Right when it hits that note at the time, it almost seems to be, it's right on time with the bass as well. Boom, 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 boom. It's really, oh man, great. This has to be one of those early Jagger Richards songs. This has always been one of the strongest of any strong of that Stones period for sure. Excellent song. Just love the bass. I love the tambourine. You know, heartbroken song. You know, yeah, man. You treat me like I'm like a heart of stone. You know, just yeah. Then we get What a Shame. What a Shame. Really good one as well, Jagger Richards. This one's always a Another good one. You know, it's not one of my favorite early stuff that they were doing at the time, those compositions, but what a shame. Seems like this whole world is something, you know. Oh man, and I love this one. This was from their first album, if any, you know what I mean, the first Stones album in the United Kingdom. Mona. I love it, man, with that tremolo guitar, that pounding beat of just a Bo Diddley song. It's like, oh man, the Bo Diddley stuff, man, that's great. Mona, you know, with that reverb, Mona. That's so good, man. Gonna build a house next door to you, you know. And that ends side one. So side two here, we get Down the Road a Piece. Good old Don Ray, I think his name is, right? Well, I love it. This one's always good with that. Fantastic, man. Just absolutely just point on fire with that rock and roll sound, man. You heard about that boy named Charlie McCoy, you know, with that rubber neck. Who cares? These are just fun, pleasant lyrics, you know. He's gotta love that, man. I think Bill, is he playing an upright bass, or maybe he wasn't on this song. Was he on this song? I believe. I don't know. God, classic rock and roll, man. I mean, you kidding me? Just what a way to open up side two with this great feel good rocker. You know what I mean? Oh, just enjoyable. Then you get a song that sounds pretty similar. Well, at least the guitar intro, or whatever, sounds very similar to the intro on Down Road a Piece, and it's Off the Hook. Pretty good one. You know, it's a bit of an upbeat pop song, if you will. I mean, I'm not a big fan of it, but you know, it's off the hook. It's off the hook. It's off the hook. You know, yeah, okay. You know, Jagger Richards here. Ooh, Pain in My Heart. Always love this song right here. Neville is the last name. I forgot the first name of this guy here. Pain in my heart. Treating me bad. I love it. Oh, it's just so good. Yeah, I just love it. Nothing else to say, but I just absolutely just love that song. That low tempoed bass and guitar. Oh, just fantastic. Oh yeah, and Jack Nitzsche plays on the piano. He plays on Down Home Girl, and also What a Shame, I believe. Oh no, Heart of Stone. Yeah, he plays Heart of Stone. And oh, Stu plays on he plays on What a Shame, I believe. Yeah, Stu does that. Yeah, okay, great song. Then we also get Oh Baby, We Got a Good Thing Going. I love this one. It's sort of really just that staticky guitar intro. I believe that was either Keith or Brian, I believe. It's just an excellent cover right here. Another rocker. Another good one. Another good bluesy, just staticky rocker. And then it ends with, oh no, then we get two more other songs. Willie Dixon classic here, Little Red Rooster. Oh, I just love it with that slide, you know. Brian Jones. Oh, it's just so great. I love it. I love them when they did it on the Ed Sullivan Show. That's a really great performance by them as well. Excellent song. What can go wrong with that? And it ends with Surprise, Surprise, Jagger Richards. Not one of my favorites, but yet again, you know, there were some good Jagger stuff, and there were some really good ones, obviously. You know, like what we got here, like, you know, Heart of Stone and What a Shame, you know. But what a just, I've always just loved this album, you know what I mean? But, you know, I can understand some folks not really caring about that early stuff, but, you know, that's just, absolutely love it. So great that I can just retouch on some of these albums. You know, I might probably come around, maybe. That would be a great little thing to do here. Retouch on some of the some of those early Stones albums. You know, maybe like you know what I mean, just you know. But yeah, you know, Rolling Stones now, love it, always had love it, you know. So anyway, folks, bye-bye.